Hello, my name is Prashanti. I'm an Ayurvedic practitioner, ethnopharmacologist, activist, yogi, and the herbal facet of the original Organic India crew. Today I'm here to talk about two of my favorite herbs, not just separately but also together as a duo. One is Shatavri, the Latin is Asparagus racemosus, and the other one is Ashwagandha, the Latin being Withania somnifera. Before we go further, let me show you some photographs of these herbs. This first photograph is of a picture of the whole herb in a field near Chitrakoot, a land, sacred land, wonderful place in central India, famous for high-powered herbs growing in very empowered red soil. This next picture is of ashwagandha growing as a weed on the side of the street in Lucknow, India, right next to the house of my teacher and the house where I lived in India for about 7 years. Notice how it volunteers near humans, like dandelions. You can tell a lot about an herb by noticing whether or not it likes humans or not. Next picture is of Shatavri being grown in the Himalayan foothills above Rishikesh. And this next picture is Shatavri roots that I harvested in the jungles of central India that I was actually using for lunch. Shatavri is a sweet, delicious, nectarous treat and great food for when you're in the jungle. In fact, in the ancient texts of yoga, when they mention that a yogi starts to live on fruits and roots, it is herbs like Shatavri and ashwagandha, for that matter, that they live on. So what's in a name? A lot of times you can know a lot about what an herb's all about by looking at its names, especially these Sanskrit names, because there's so much you can unpack out of them. For instance, Shatavri. Shat means 100, Vri means root. So Shatavri is 100 roots. And you know, if you look at the plant, it has hundreds of these long, beautiful roots that you just saw a picture of. It also indicates that Shatavri helps you be rooted in 100 ways. Also, there's a word for husband called vari, whose root is this word vri, root. And so Shatvari means 100 husbands and refers to how Shatavri supports a woman's reproductive system so much that she can have 100 husbands or 100 lovers. The Latin name with Asparagus racemosus refers to asparagus. Yes, it's an asparagus. It's one of these wonderful, luscious plants that we love to eat that are so good for us. Racemosus just comes from the Greek racem, which means a clump, like a clump of grapes, and refers to the fact that asparagus grows as a clump. Racemosus basically means Shatavri, a clump of 100 things. Ashwagandha is next. Ashwa is normally translated as horse, but in this context it really means stallion. Gandha is usually translated as smell, but in this case it means the earthy, grounded essence of the earth element, so to speak. So ashwagandha means having the grounded strength of a stallion. The Latin name for ashwagandha, Withania somnifera, Withania just refers to a man, Henry Witham. He was an English paleobotanist. The somnifera is quite interesting. Somna refers to the Greek word for sleep. Fera means fruit or bringing. So we know that ashwagandha brings sleep, or a kind of sleep, fruitful sleep. So what's wrong with this picture? I mean, one name means it's like having the strength of a stallion, and the next name means calming and putting you to sleep. A little bit of a paradox. Often it's in these paradoxes that we can learn the most. For instance, this is a model of what's going on here. Imagine my nervous system is the size of my finger. If I put 10 pounds of pressure, 10 pounds of stress on that finger, it goes all over the place, right? However, imagine if my nervous system is strong and thick, the size of my arm. Then if I put 10 pounds of stress on that, don't even notice it. So strength induces calm. This is how ashwagandha works and how it helps induce calm. It's such a great anti-stress adaptogen that it induces calm by strengthening us. You can also see that Ayurveda, it's wonderful. It's not a lily white system. Like here with names like the core strength of a stallion and having 100 husbands, it shows a beautiful celebration of the fullness of life. One of the ways that we can remember these herbs is by taglines. So a great tagline for both of these herbs is earth element, anabolic, nervine, and reproductive adaptogen. Earth element, anabolic, nervine, reproductive adaptogen. Just remember that phrase and you get a good sense of what these two herbs are all about. Let's unpack that a little bit. First of all, herbs can have three main different ways that they affect energy. Catabolic, which means they release energy. Metabolic, which means they transform energy. They tend to be good for digestion. And anabolic, which means they store energy. So these two herbs are earth element, anabolic. It's often synonymous, earth element and anabolic. So we know they store energy. What kind of energy do they store? Adaptogenic energy. So let's look at this slide here and look into adaptogens. Adaptogens basically mean three different things. One, they support systemic resilience to all forms of stress, emotional, physical, environmental, chemical, etc., as well as all the forms of stress. And we know that stress is at the root of so many imbalances, and healthy stress management is at the root of so much wellness. Secondly, these herbs are two-directional. Adaptogens are two-directional herbs, meaning they support homeostasis in the body. For instance, if you have low estrogen levels, then Shatavri tends to raise it. If you have high estrogen levels, then Shatavri tends to decrease it in men and women. Third, adaptogens are innocuous, meaning they do no harm in normal doses. In general, adaptogens supply clean and supportive endocrine gland-centric energy. This means that these herbs give systemic support and sustainable energy, and that in general they're fine to be taken in the long term, all else being equal. It also means that they have a tendency to have a lot of their energy or activity channeled via the endocrine glands and balancing to the endocrine glands, which is what we want, because these glands tend to be more intelligent when it comes to knowing what our body needs than we are. Also, by supporting endocrine function, you're supporting that which balances the body and the physiology. By the way, the man in this picture is Dr. Narendra Singh, and is one of the pioneering researchers in adaptogens. He's also the formulator for most of Organic India supplements and a dear friend and mentor to me. So, now we know that the ashwagandha and Shatavri is anabolic, they store energy. We know what kind of energy it stores, adaptogenic energy. Now we need to know where that energy is stored. Basically in three places. First of all, both these herbs, ashwagandha and Shatavri, help support a woman's womb and a woman's ovum and a man's seed to come together in conception to optimize this moment. If you're not into conception, both of these herbs both support masculine and feminine reproductive systems. So for instance, they help balance a woman's menstrual cycle. Third, both of these herbs are fantastic at sexuality and sexual function in general. They're classic for this. Fourth, realize that sexual energy and spiritual energy are not necessarily two different things. It's one energy. One energy, down and out, tends to be sexual, and an up tends to be spiritual energy, and held in the body and physiology tends to be restorative energy. So you can use the energy for this. Secondly, both of these herbs are great nervine tonics. For instance, ashwagandha is one of the herbs that helps regrow nerves, both on the axon, the dendrite, and the myelin sheath of nerves. Phytoestrogens like Shatavri are known to restore the dopamine neurons that are so key to the pleasure pathway in the brain. The third place where the energy is stored is in ojas. Ojas is the density of our core vitality. It's responsible for all endurance, all vitality, all stability, and it is the foundation to our immunocompetence. So it's very important. These are the three places where the energy is stored. So now we know that these two herbs are earth elements, anabolic, nervine, and reproductive adaptogens. But what makes them so great? Why should we take them together? What makes them such a great herbal yoga, as it's called? Yoga just means when two or more things come together. Why these two herbs? Of course, we know now that they have a lot of similarities. For instance, as we said, again, I'm going to keep repeating this tagline. Earth element, anabolic, nervine, reproductive adaptogen. These are its similarities, but often it's the differences between two different things that really make them a great team. In the case of ashwagandha, ashwagandha is more masculine, it's more phytoandrogen. Shatavri is more feminine, has more phytoestrogens in them. We both need both. I know that some men might say, oh, I don't want some estrogens. You know, everybody has estrogen, everybody has testosterone, everybody has progesterone. We need all these herbs in us. So it's the similarities of these two herbs that give them amplification, that give them power together. But it's the differences between these two herbs that give them the balance. And so amplified balance, this is key. This is what makes these two herbs such a great herbal yoga. About dosage, traditionally, these two herbs are taken, you might mix them together in the proportions that you might most need. And they're taken 4, 5, 6 grams, like a heaping tablespoon, or heaping teaspoon, is a good dose. In terms of capsules, you can take 2 or 3 capsules twice a day. If you take it in the morning, then these herbs tend to power your day. If you take it at night, which you know we can, somniferous, sleep-inducing, then the herbs tend to go more into restoring your body and your physiology and your mind, thickening it, so to speak. So there you have it. 2 wonderful herbs. 2, what are they? They are earth element, anabolic, nervine, reproductive adaptogens. Wonderful for us and making a great union. Thanks so much for joining us for this herbal medicine journal. My name again is Prashanti. This has been brought to you by Pacific Center of Ayurveda and Organic India. Thank you so much. Fare thee well.